Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome to Post Cologne. Today we're taking a look at Lattafa Pride's Qayam Gold. Alright, so Qayam Gold is from the House of Lattafa. It is part of the Lattafa Pride line series, and you can pick this up for about $48 at places like Triple Traders. I'll have a link down in the description if you decide you want to check this one out. Presentation on this, like the Lattafa Pride series, very, very nice. It has a nice kind of shimmering gold that's on the front with this nice matte black, fairly thick cardboard. This is kind of a cutout pattern that's in the front here, so this interesting symbol up front is kind of cut out in the box with the gold kind of shown behind it. Very, very interesting. I do not know what this symbol means. I did try and look around and figure out what this exactly is all about, but I couldn't figure it out. So if you know, please comment down below. I like learning about this kind of stuff. I did learn, however, that Qayam means something along the lines of to stand up for something, to have values, to, values and beliefs. So that's what Qayam means, according to my research. If I am wrong, roast me down in the comments. Again, I'm not afraid to be corrected on this, but that's what my research indicated, so very interesting. It is a pull-off cover box that has the fragrance sitting on the inside, nice and cozy in this kind of styrofoam-ish style insert. It's got a little bit of fuzziness to it, so very nice presentation. All the necessaries are on the back of this box as well. Bottle itself is a nice hefty bottle. It's got this kind of matte black finish to it. It's kind of this oval shape we got here, and it does have that symbol that I was talking about earlier on the front with some metallic gold there and like kind of some marble texture inserts right there. So very nice presentation, very nice looking bottle. Cap on this has a little bit of weight, but it does have kind of a cheapy plastic base feel to it, but the top does have some metal to it, and it has the Lattafa logo right up top. So overall presentation on this, again with the Lattafa Pride line series, very, very nice. I do enjoy this. I think it's a nice classy looking bottle and pretty happy about it. So if you are wondering what Qayam Gold smells like, come to the right place, because I am about to tell you. This one is a very interesting fragrance. It's a very unique style of fragrance. The scent accords in this that kind of come through are very, very interesting. This does open up a little bit on the feminine side, and then it does dry down a little bit masculine. So this does go through quite a transition from the opening to that dry down, and a little bit on the artistic side, to be quite honest. Atomizer on this, though, is absolutely fire. This blasts halfway across the room. In the opening, what you are getting is a very saffron forward opening with some raspberry that's mixed in there. The raspberry sweetness is there, but it's not a prominent note. It's the saffron that really takes over in this. You also get a little bit of leather that comes through and a touch of oud in the opening. As this kind of starts to open up a little bit, what we're getting is a little bit more of the earthy patchouliness that comes through. If you've been following my channel, you've heard me say before that patchouli is an interesting note off of my skin. My skin either really likes patchouli or really doesn't like patchouli, but it becomes a very prominent and almost aggressive note off of my skin. What I get off my skin is a very sort of dirty, earthy style of patchouli that comes through. It's almost a little overbearing, but again, this could be my skin chemistry. I'm not sure if this is going to be the case for everybody, but there is a patchouli note in there that comes through, and it does add that earthiness to that leather saffron and that sweetness from that raspberry. As this starts to kind of transition and dry down a little bit, it does kind of move more into that kind of masculine realm of fragrance. So you're starting to get some of those woodiness that comes through, some guaiac wood, some vetiver starts to come through, a little bit of amber, a little bit more of that oud comes through, and you also get some benzoin that starts to work its way in. The wood notes in this are very interesting as well. Off my skin, what I'm getting is a very almost sharpness that comes from that vetiver. It's still a very woody note, but there's almost this like lemongrass sort of vibe that starts to come through. And it also has this aromatic nature to it. So it's like very aromatic in some ways. It has that little bit of like leathery sweetness to it, but it also has this woodiness to it. And the leather in this is very interesting as well. When you think of a leather fragrance, you're thinking like leather jacket, cowboy saddle style of leather. That is not what I pick up from this. This is a very unique leather. It is something you can pick up as a leather, but it's very different. It's not like if you're thinking this is going to be like a Tom Ford clone of some sort. It's not the style of leather I'm picking up from this. It is very unique. It is very interesting. And again, mixed with that kind of aromatic nature, a little touch of sweetness, and some of the amber that starts to come through in the base. As this dries down, that all starts to kind of come together, and what you're left with is like a bit of a warm ambery powderiness that comes through with those woods, with that still that aromatic sharpness that comes through. And with the benzoin, what happens is you start to get sort of this sweet vanilla vibe that starts to happen with almost kind of a honeyed accord. So that benzoin almost, it adds like a thickness to things mixed with that amber and those aromatics and sharpness. A very unique scent profile, a very interesting kind of transition from the opening to the dry down, from that feminine to that masculine sort of fragrance. Very interesting, very artistic, and a little unusual. So when it comes to the performance of Lattafa Pride Qiam Gold, it was an average performer for me. I got about 6-8 hours of longevity off of my skin, and projection-wise, it was moderate. It did push out for the first hour or two before it did settle in a little bit. So it was an average performer. For a Lattafa, I found it kind of performed a little bit lower than a lot of Lattafas do, but overall, I was not disappointed with the performance. It is not a beast mode performer off of my skin, at least, and I'm not upset about that. It didn't underperform, but again, not a beast mode fragrance. So when it comes to occasions, I would say this is definitely a casual style of fragrance. This is just out for lunch, running errands, going about your business throughout the day. Maybe at work, if you kind of dial back the sprays, there is this sharpness and this aromatic nature to this that could push out and it could be bothersome for some people, but if you go easy on the sprays, I think this would do fine just at work. This doesn't have the kind of like sexy sensuality, in my opinion, for like a great date night fragrance necessarily. It could be an evening out fragrance, but again, I think this is more suited for the kind of casual occasions. I think in terms of seasons, I think this can be kind of pulled off across many different seasons and kind of temperature ranges. I think spring and fall, this would do fine. I think in the winter, this could cut through the cold a little bit, but it wouldn't necessarily be like the best winter fragrance. And in the summer, I think because of that sharpness I was getting and some of that kind of amberiness and that honeyed note that goes through, I think this might be a little too much in the summer, but I think in kind of mild to cooler, almost cold days, this could do fairly well. So in terms of seasons, I think this is fairly versatile. It's not across the entire year, but you can get a lot of use out of this throughout the year. So my overall thoughts on Qiam Gold from Lattafa Pride is it's a good fragrance. I think it has that quality there. I think for the $48, you're getting definitely your quality, if not a little bit more in terms of juice. I think the scent profile is very unique. I think it is bold. I think it is interesting, but in terms of my own personal taste, this is not a fragrance that I'm going to be reaching for very often. The scent accords in this are just very different, and they're kind of outside of my normal preferences when it comes to fragrances. Many people out there are going to enjoy this fragrance. I'm not saying this is a bad fragrance by any stretch, but it's just this mix in the dry down of this aromatics that kind of come through, mixed with that sharpness of some of the woodsy notes, with that ambery powderiness and sort of that honeyed vanilla. The combination of all those notes, for me, it didn't do it for me. I couldn't quite find this to be a love fragrance. It was a like. I found it interesting, a little bit on the artistic side, but it's just not for me. And that's just my honest opinion. That's what you guys came here for. And I want to hear from you guys. What's one fragrance you tried lately that was a good fragrance, but it just didn't quite do it for you? Let me know down in the comments. Love hearing from you guys. Love getting your opinions. Appreciate you. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see y'all next time.